22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up, and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid to say it.
And are not afraid to say it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You are tuned into Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show, episode 299. Yes, one more episode till our 300th episode next week. Our 300th episode next week. Today we're doing the show a little different. We're getting back to, we've been dealing with a lot of the politicians and candidates with the election, but we wanted to get back into the people before the politics. And one of the things that has been going on lately is the rash of senseless gun violence in our community in Lower Westchester. It's happening everywhere, but we're dealing with Lower Westchester, Mount Vernon, Rochelle, and Yonkers. You had, in the last 2-3 weeks, you had a DMX vigil at 4th Street Playground where 2 people were shot hours later. In Yonkers, you had a 6-year-old boy who was caught in the crossfire of what the police considered 3 juveniles that they apprehended. In New Rochelle, you had a couple of shootings over by the projects on Horton and Brook. One gentleman died from Brooklyn. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Another shot in the back and was sent to the hospital. I don't know his condition, and 3 others had non-life-threatening injuries. And then hours later, you had a shooting on Main Street in New Rochelle where 1 or 2 people were shooting up at 3rd, 4th, and 5th floor windows of a building. Mount Vernon, you had a 17-year-old who was visiting a friend 10:20 on a Thursday afternoon, who was shot in the doorway of the friend, and the friend's mother opened her door to find her son's friend bleeding out on her doorstep with what was described as a 50-cent piece hole in him, just bleeding out. We've had a couple of shootings over by Ebony Gardens, which is down the street from me. When the temperature gets hot, traditionally the streets get hot. But guess what? It's not even hot yet. And we already have the senseless gun violence going on. And we're working on a perfect storm right now. A lot of inmates were released. There were programs for them inside. They got released because of COVID or bail reform. They even come out to stimulus checks and unemployment checks. And if they can't find jobs and there's no programs, guess what? What are they going to do to make money to feed their family? And then you had COVID, which kept a lot of people inside. Some people hadn't seen people in a very long time. Well, they're removing mask restrictions right now for people that are vaccinated. Weather's getting a little warmer. There's a whole lot of people outside. People going to start seeing people they ain't seen in a while. They've been cooped up for a while, and it's been peaceful because people were inside. Well, people are coming outside again. we are looking at what is potentially one of the worst summers coming up. And normally we have these kind of shows that are reactive to all that has happened. It is my intention to be proactive today. And I put out this call to action for the community because we can't leave it all on our elected officials. We can't leave it all on our police commissioners and police departments. We have to get involved and the end of this senseless gun violence. And as my brother Henry Terry, who will be on shortly, he always says, don't wait for it to hit your doorstep before you get involved. There's a lot of things that can be done. We've had these conversations over and over. Shout out to groups like Mama I Am, Nas Duncan, who's been holding it down, and then found herself on the other end. She was the one that consoled mothers for years whose children were shot, and she found herself sitting in that chair needing to be consoled. We had groups like Save Mount Vernon, Jessie Van Loo. We have my brother Henry Terry out there in Snug. We have a lot of organizations out there, and we have a lot of people doing stuff, but it is not enough. We need everybody. There is something you can do. And this is a call to action. This is, again, Black Westchester Presents the People Before Politics radio show, episode 299. And we're dealing with senseless gun violence in the lower Westchester area, Mount Vernon, Yonkers, and New Rochelle. And lastly, let me just say we have to stop saying, "Oh, that's just Yonkers. That don't concern me. Oh, that's New Rochelle. That ain't us. Oh, that's just Mount Vernon. That's the way it is." These incidents don't respect borders. Mount Vernon's problems trickle into New Rochelle and Yonkers. We share borders. New Rochelle problems trickle into Mount Vernon. Yonkers problems trickle in Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon problems trickle into Yonkers. So we have to work together. And that's why I put together a panel today of people that are boots on the ground who are aggressively trying to deal with this situation, which can be a pandemic like COVID if we don't get ahead of it. I would like to welcome my lovely co-host, Lorraine Lopez, in the place to be, joining me today. Say what's up. Before we get the guests going, do you have any words to add or thank you, a shout out or whatever you want to get out in the beginning of the show? Your mic is off.
I'm sorry. No, I got nothing to add to that. I think you said it all, AJ. I just want to start the conversation. But yes, a quick shout out to Sophia Minks, beautiful, lovely young lady that I met, and I promised her that I'll give a shout out on Black Westchester. So peace, baby girl.
The first person I'm going to bring in is Henry Terry. The reason why he put out this call to action, as he always does, after the 17-year-old young man got shot in broad daylight, and asked for everybody to join him in front of the house. And we may have had about 50-ish people, and I'm a little disappointed because there a lot of those people from Yonkers and the Bronx. We didn't even have a lot of Mount Vernon people stepping up. We march for people thousands of miles away, for George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all of these people. We are outraged and hit the streets locally every time there's a black or brown person killed by the police. This is as bad or worse when the person in our streets that was killed looks like someone like them, and we need to be equally outraged with what they call black on black crime. They don't do that in no other community. They don't ever say white on white crime when it's a Jewish community or Italian community, just black on black crime. But when people are lost at the hands of people that look like them, we need to be equally outraged. I'd like to introduce my brother Henry Terry to the show, who put out the call to action. I showed up at his thing and then did the IG live. And then I spoke to some of the people who spoke to Brother John, we're going to bring in from Yonkers. I spoke to Angela at Sugar Plums, and we were all having the same conversation, and I felt we needed to get together. So what's up, my brother?
Good evening, everybody. AJ, what's going on, big brother? Thank you for this.
No doubt. I mean, unfortunately, we are continuing to have a conversation that we have been having over and over. I was told, why waste my time? I was told nobody wants to hear it anymore. I just can't give up. We have this forum, and I felt that we needed to continue this conversation. And we need to keep continuing this conversation until we get more people involved. I said in the intro, I don't know if you were there, one of the things that always struck me when I was out in the streets with you, you always say, don't wait till it hits your doorstep before you get involved. And I'd like you to start there and just say whatever you have to say.
You know, just like you said, you know, I've also heard a lot of the naysayers and people saying, why are you out there, or why are you doing this? Or, they're not listening, you know, they're paying attention. This generation is different, but that's the exact reason why we make sure we continue to have this conversation. And it shouldn't be a conversation that we have in passing, or a conversation that we have here and there. It should be a conversation that we have every day, because we're losing our youth every single day, and we're losing them to gun violence, more so than AIDS, cancer, or any other disease that we could discuss on this evening. And what people need to understand is that gun violence is just that, violence, period. It's a disease. It's like any other disease. It takes over one host and then it spreads. It latches onto another and then it spreads. And then it devours each host that it latches onto. And the host that it's choosing at this time, it's our youth. It's our Black and Hispanic young men are the #1 victims of gun violence in America from ages 14 to 25.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to applaud you for the boots on the ground, for the work that you do. Most people do not even know behind the scenes. I live on 7th Avenue. I constantly go around the corner to 8th Avenue to the store, which is a hot spot. And I see you out there building with the brothers and you know, sometimes getting in their face a little bit, you know, but talking to them a little bit, you know, talking sense to some of the brothers that they may not hear it from me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying I see you out there, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show. As soon as I did the show, I heard from my brother from the show Brother to Brother in Yonkers. As soon as I did the IG live, which was inspired by your event and the lack of what I felt more people should have been there. Like Cynthia Turnquest Jones told me, she came from the polo grounds and raced up, and she thought she had the wrong spot because she didn't see nobody. She thought she expected the block to be full. She thought she had the wrong street. You know what I'm saying? So me and Brother John talked for hours right afterwards. He has the show Brother to Brother with his brother Tri-State Jericho on IG. They're doing their thing. He was involved in the boxing program at Yonkers YMCA and helped a lot of young people get off the street. Yeah, I'm about to take this hat off. I just want to represent my Knicks real quick, but I'm just getting hot. So I gotta take it off. I'm sweating under that hat. But my Knicks is in the playoffs. I'm sorry. That's had nothing to do with this, but yo, I ain't been able to say that for like 12 years. Like, yo, I got bear with me. So, Brother John, I welcome you to the show. I know we've had this conversation over and over, and we probably tonight preaching to the choir. Most of the people that are listening are the people that do listen and feel the same way. We got to keep finding ways to reach those that's not tuning in. So anybody who's watching this, please share this on your page so other people can see this. Brother John, welcome to the show.
AJ, what's up? Hey, listen, thanks for the invitation. Hey, Lorraine, how you doing? My man, Henry Terry, what's going on?
Hello,
yeah, it's well, you know how I stand, AJ, that it's the guns in the street. They have to get off, but you know, I come a different way from a lot of people, because a lot of people say, you know, I hear them jump on the parents real quick. You know, a lot of places they go parents, and my thing is, if you're going to jump on the parents, then give the parents what you had when you came up. Because when I came up, we had youth facilities, and if you're not going to build youth facilities, how you going to blame the parents? I would leave the house at 12 o'clock, come back home at 6:30, 7, whenever the street light went down. But I had 4 or 5 different facilities I can go to and get a game of dodgeball, get a game of basketball, get baseball. We don't, if you're asking these young kids to do some things, get these facilities there to get them more things to do. if you're not promoting youth facilities, we're going to lose every day. You know, I can't, real quick, I'll say this. I grew up in Mount Vernon from kindergarten to 7th grade. And to say that every Thursday, Graham School, they had something called rec. It was recreation. We called it rec every Thursday. The guy who ran ours was a guy named Doc Garrett, right? Now, every Thursday, every kid, I can remember being 12 years old, every kid would say, I got to get the rec tonight. I got to get the rec tonight. Rec was respected. They always had an officer out there. And all the kids from that community, Robert Fulton had their rec. Hamilton had their rec. But it was something that every kid knew that was an outlet to go to if you weren't running around doing other things, right? How is it that they can have all these youth facilities in the 70s, and then 2021, you can't get one? So if I take, just real quick, Mount Vernon, let's just say, I'm going to go estimate 30,000 kids. What do you have? The Dole Center, and give me something else that you have.
The boys and girls club around the corner for me, but you know, again, they only fit so many people.
Yeah. So let's say we get 3,000 in each one. Where the rest of them going?
And we're not getting 3,000 in either one. Let's just, I'm just giving it to it. Say you get 500, but if you don't have it there in different areas, where are they going to go? There should be one in the Heights. There should be one on the North Side. That should be the number one thing. That's why I have the problem with the Black leadership. If we push certain things the way we push, if we push youth facilities, the way we push go out and vote, if we push youth facilities the way we push the new vaccine, then that's something that should be done. I tell people, why don't you start opening up experimental emergency youth facilities? Huh.
You know, that's my new slogan. If you say it don't work, then let's try it. Experimental emergency youth facilities.
Absolutely. The next person after I was with Brother Henry Terry at the rally that he called, and after Brother John hit me, I went to see my sister LaShawn Williams at Sugar Plums in her show for Mother's Day for her anniversary, and I met our next guest, Angela Faris, who I was already familiar with. But we finally met. We sat down, and LaShawn insisted that we sat at the same table, and we had a very long conversation and was talking about a lot of the same stuff I was talking with all of y'all, and I figured I had to get her on. She is the executive director of the Municipal Housing Authority in New Rochelle. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you again, and thank you for having me, AJ. And first of all, I just want to say I have been looking forward to this robust conversation about gun violence in our cities. AJ spoke a little about what's happening in New Rochelle. I think it's imperative that community leaders work with the community elected officials in the police department to have a robust conversation about gun violence in their respective communities. I grew up in the Bronx. I grew up in the projects in the Bronx. So I pretty much, the community that I serve, I pretty much had my first footing by growing up in an environment that I serve. What's happening right now with our young Black males in terms of gun violence, it is heart-wrenching. As a Black mother with a Black son, I am at a place where I am literally afraid to send my own son out. So I can imagine what other mothers have felt when they've lost their sons to gun violence. Not too long ago, we had a shooting on Horton Avenue, and I had to go to the hospital to hold the mother's hand, and she didn't even know her son was deceased. So the trauma associated with this, the long-lasting trauma associated with this leaves devastating effects, not only on the family, but the community as a whole. And enough is enough. We need to continue to work together. I'm listening to Brother Henry over there about the SNUG program. These are programs that we need to implement not only in Mount Vernon, but also New Rochelle and Yonkers. Because
we have one in Yonkers. We do have one in Yonkers.
Oh, excellent. All right. We need it in New Rochelle. We definitely need that in New Rochelle. And like I said, right now, what's happening in New Rochelle, we're making sure that we're out there in the trenches. In order to talk about it, you got to be about it. So if you want to learn how to curtail gun violence, you need to be out there in the communities. I operate from that standpoint. You need to know the community and know the community that you serve.
Now I got my other brother, but I'm gonna bring him in last so he can just set off the conversation, Jessie. But Angela, would you introduce the two guests that you invited to the show?
Sure. I have with me Minister Mark McLean, who is head of the NAACP in New Rochelle. He also serves with me. I serve as the chairperson of the African American Advisory Committee to the city, and Mark serves as the vice chair. And also I invited Nate Adams, who is the director of operation for the Boys and Girls Club here in New Rochelle.
Gentlemen, would you like to say a couple of words?
Yes, thank you, AJ, for this dialogue. I always say dialogue is the best pathway to solution. And thank you, Minister Angela Faris. We work very, very closely together, along with Nate Adams, in trying to deliver some results for our community. And Minister Faris talks about that one young man. His name was Dante, who was a drive-by shooting. I was also there. I had to put my arm around the father and go with him and view Dante's body. And see, a lot of us, we don't see the aftermath of our actions. But when you have to look at these young men who have been cut down for no reason, it really hits you to the core. So we've been trying to deal with, and from my perspective, I think it has to be a comprehensive approach. We need to interface with the police to get empathetic and professional policing in our communities, but we also have to interface with the city and our community to get investment in our community for the young men. They need investment. So thank you for allowing me to be on the show, and I'm excited to hear the conversation.
Nate Adams, would you like to say something brief? Introduce yourself.
There's a war going outside and it ain't safe. And right now we're faced with some serious issues where we have a lot of our young men and young women that are now pushing their pain onto others. We really need to get to the source of what we're talking about, and it's pain. And how do we handle pain? And, I believe you had mentioned earlier when we're talking about COVID and people now interacting with each other, there's a lot of issues that happened pre-COVID that's coming outside, and people don't know how to handle it. There is gang violence that's occurring right now in our communities, greater than we've seen ever before. And we can't sugarcoat what we've seen. I grew up in the Bronx, born and raised right behind Evander Childs High School. And when I was growing up, we saw it all. But what the reality of it was, everybody had a crew, a local community crew that you ran with. Now, when you start to see the infiltration of gangs such as the Bloods and the Crips and the Vice Lords and GDs, these are national phenomena that are happening right now in our communities. So the situation that happened on Brook and Horton a few weeks back, those were individuals from Brooklyn that were killed, okay? Yeah. Not from New Rochelle. They were Brooklyn residents. So now we're seeing that infiltration happening. And if we don't gain control of our communities now, I also run a Metro North youth football program, where in my program, we have communities such as Peekskill, Poughkeepsie, New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, Yonkers. I'm serving 1,000 Black boys right now in a football program. So from that, I'm trying to take the preventative steps to say, we got to work with these kids now, because before we know it, they're young adults looking for the next love, looking for that adult connection. And a lot of that right now is lost in our communities because, like we said, the community centers are not there anymore. I have a group of kids right now that walk half a mile because one of our locations, our Remington location, is currently under renovation. But I have young Black boys walking a half a mile into a Latino community just so they could be a part of something, just so they could be inside of a safe haven. So this is a great conversation because, like you said, we all border each other. We're all cousins. We're all first cousins. And if we don't all come together to think about how can we really get together as Black men, Black women, Latino men, Latino women, if we don't come together,
we're going to start to see, like you said, a greater storm hit us come this summer.
Absolutely. I'm going to bring my brother Jessie Van Loo, but before that, my brother from another mother, my partner, Damon K. Jones, into the studio. And before you say anything, Damon, one of the comments is, why was the mayor and her commissioner not on here? They were not invited. And let me be clear about that. No elected official and no candidates were invited. We're having a community conversation, and we're not dealing with, a lot of times we invite our politicians and we get into political conversations of who's not doing what in City Hall. We needed a conversation, a community conversation, as a call to action to other people in the community. That's why I did not invite any of the mayors, any of the elected officials, or any of the candidates. So I just wanted to say that. Damon, say a couple of words. It's my partner, for people that didn't know, we started Black Westchester together, Damon K. Jones.
I'm not sure. Hope this mic is working.
You good?
We can hear you.
Everybody can hear me? Great.
Yes,
great.
sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everybody, and people that are listening. I want to thank everybody that has come on this panel to talk about the issues in our community. For those of you who don't know, I've been in law enforcement for 31 years, still active, still go to work. Just got off at work, just did 16 hours, got off at 3 o'clock. And I've been working in the Department of Corrections. For 30 years, I have watched generations of our people come through those doors. And it sharpened my understanding of the systems that work against us as Black people, especially in Westchester County. Let's not get it twisted. Why Black communities in Westchester County is catching so much hell is by design. It is by design. And I want everybody to just Google, and I think we might have it on the page. I'm not sure if we put on the page, AJ, the 1992 African American Advisory Board report to then Republican County Executive Andrew ORourke.
If it's not up, we're going to put it back up. If it's not up,
if it's not up, we will put it up, and throughout the show, I'm going to try to find the link and put it in the thing. So everything that we're dealing with as Black people in Westchester County, or poor people, is in that report. It predicted everything that we see now today, from the economic development to job training, police brutality, schooling, education, the lack of Black male teachers. This is in 1992. They were talking about the lack of Black male teachers, the inequity in county jobs. And the sad thing about it is nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. In 1992, the middle class of Black America in Westchester County was based on two groups of people: General Motors and Westchester County Department of Corrections. Westchester County Department of Corrections employed more Black men than any county department, and probably any civil service department in Westchester County. So we have not moved the needle forward. We actually have been going backwards. And the report also goes into the systematic segregation of Westchester County when they purposely move poor people to Portchester, Peekskill, Ossining, Yonkers, Mount Vernon. They purposely destroyed a Black community on 119 in Greenburgh and moved everybody out of there. All this is in the report. And what's so amazing about this report is that a lot of our top political leaders were newcomers back in 1992. And a lot of our top political leaders was on the African American Advisory Board. So they knew the problem, because the problem was in black and white. So when we talk about reform of law enforcement, it was in the report in 1992. You know, the old saying, nothing's new under the sun. We keep recreating the wheel, but we're not putting these wheels on the car and driving anywhere. So the issues are not new. The question is, what are we as a community going to do about it? I'm tired of talking. I've been talking about gun violence and mothers dealing with dead children in Mount Vernon for over a decade. All the way back when Miriam Williams' son was shot 2 blocks away from the police department. So what has changed? Absolutely nothing. Except we have more mothers grieving their children.
Absolutely.
Grieving the loss of young men and women being killed by senseless gun violence. And we always want to talk to the children. We need to start talking to the parents, because children are children.
The adults, the leaders.
We need to start talking to the adults, because the kids didn't create the community that they live in. They didn't create the situation of lack of jobs and lack of economic development. They didn't create that. They're living in that. And we know that the kids know how to act, because when they go to White Plains, they put the trash in the garbage can. They don't throw the trash on the street. So we know they know how to act, but they just don't have no respect, because they don't see the families having respect. We cannot solve the gang problem of the children until we solve the gang problem of the adults, because we gang bang too, but on a different level. So they're following our lead. Let's not get it twisted. We gang bang too. We destroy each other too. So you want to point at the kids, we need to start pointing in the mirror at ourselves first. I'm tired of writing press releases when police kill our young men and women. I'm tired of going to press conferences. I've been having press conferences for 20 years. 20 years. Going to press conferences, talking about gang violence for 20 years. And we still don't, and we're still talking about the same thing.
Let me introduce our last guest, David. My brother Jessie Van Loo, a brother I respect, is a brother who worked at the library for years, like many of us. Just going about our life. He really wasn't getting involved in a lot of this stuff, and then things just kept happening, and the brother was like, "Yo, I can no longer remain silent." And he's one of the people behind Save Mount Vernon, and he's been frontline and center ever since. The senseless gunfight, the senseless gun violence, standing with mothers who have lost children, fighting corruption in our city hall and in our police department. Our next guest, Jessie Van Loo. Introduce yourself. And I know you're going to set it off, so I waited for you last, because I know you're going to set it off, my brother. Welcome to the show.
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Thank you for having me on the show. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, appreciate it. This is what I'm going to do. I keep it real. I say what I say, and I tell people, you can't handle it, get out the kitchen. I was going to use another word, but I'm going to keep it clean. This is what I got for you right now. Junior Francis, Tony Ellis, Orville Bell, Desmond Fleming, David DeGrace, Tasheem Williams, Hashan Green, Jovel Stewart, Keshmon Smith, Kyle Dennis, Kevin Shaw, Allison Clay, Ryan Solomon, Brandon Preston, Nassan Yitzhak, Warren Clahier, Omar Ellis, and a few of the other two names. Let me tell you something. I treat these young men like they're my sons. I'm getting straight to the point. It doesn't matter. If people in Mount Vernon feel the pain that I feel every day, having this list, getting involved. I only got involved because there were some kids that coach baseball that are no longer on this earth. It bothers me. For the young men in Mount Vernon not to be involved, and I have sons that one day they can get the phone call that the son is no longer here. It pisses me off. When we had the vigil on 8th Avenue, the whole block, like I said, should have been filled. The whole block should have been filled. Kayshawn or Sean Kane. So I said that wrong. Thank you for correcting me, Cynthia. Appreciate it. Like I said, I got notes all over the place. I'm retired from the library. I get calls 3-4 times a day about everything. It goes straight to the leadership and the parents. Straight to the leadership. I talk to more of the unsolved homicides parents than the police do. The mayor has not came out and spoken one word about gun violence. Commissioner Scott has not came out and said one word about gun violence that I've been asking for. So if my tone has upset anybody right now, you're gonna have to deal with it, because I'm like this every damn day till the city gets better. Jessie Van Loo speaks his mind. If you think I'm gonna throw you underneath the bus, then I think you need to get out the way. This leadership starts. We voted for change, and it's not happening right now. So yes, we can sit at the round table and talk, but now it's time to put boots on the ground. I'm ready to walk. I keep my boots on the ground every day. If somebody calls me, I'm there for them. Jesse, let's go, Marshall, let's stand, let's talk, let's speak. It has to change. My thing is, it was the parents, and it goes to the leadership. We've been promised change for years. I got involved 2.5 years ago with a Tiff Coleman, Save My Vernon. Niles Duncan, you know her story. Lorraine Raysnor and Jeff Moreau. That is my team. My thing is, if we don't change, if the fathers don't step in their sons' lives, help some of these mothers, there's a lot of single mothers that need help. My number's out there on the flyers. Call me. A lot of parents can't go in their son's room. If you paying the rent until that man is a young man and leaves your house, you have every right to go in his room and search it and do the hell what you want to do.
That's right. That's right.
There's no excuse. My son don't let me go in his room.
That's right.
There's no way. Call me. We'll find a way to go in his son's room. We're going to walk and we're going to talk. Henry, I got you. A lot of people say negative stuff about you. They say that about me. I'm here for the city. I'm here for the betterment. I'm Jessie Van Loo. Save My Vernon, whatever you want to call it. I'm tired of talking to it, like Damon K. Jones said. Talk is not working no more. We just had 3 shootings last night. 2, matter of fact. Again, I got a call 12:30 last night. Grampton lit up from the 2 clubs. 1 lane open. 12:30, I get a phone call. They called from the police. No presence. Within an hour and a half, 1 car pulled up. He couldn't even get down the damn block. Now you tell me, are these police that want to do their damn job in Mount Vernon? All these names I read was unsolved murders in Mount Vernon for years. And these parents are grieving. And I help them grieve. I have 2 sons that I stayed on their back. They're no longer in Mount Vernon. You understand? And it shouldn't have to come to that. So the conversation is going to start. I blame the leadership right now for not coming forward and taking responsibility. Everybody have a different opinion. That is mine. I'm walking. I'm out. I'm doing different things my way because I'm getting results. And I don't have to call the mayor, call the police commissioner, and tell you who called me today. I got a gun off the street. I let this lady let me talk to her son. He was supposed to get initiated. Now he believes in me. Those are calls I'm getting. I'm not going to come and tell nobody what I'm doing. I'm retired. I ask God to direct me in the right way to save lives. That's all I want to do. These are our sons. These are our brothers. These are our mothers. And a casket is the last damn place they'll be standing in.
Absolutely. One of the reasons I also called this group. So I'm always saying this, and I will say it again. You know, I was your average knucklehead. I was always in the park down the street of 4th Street Playground, 8th Avenue Park, the park over there where Heaven and used to hang out, you know, getting high, hanging out. But it was a lot of older cats that got at me that was like, yo, you don't need to be out in these streets, this, that, and the other. I really wasn't trying to hear them, but I did hear them. And a lot of them are responsible for the reason that I am not dead or in jail. A lot of people I went to high school with, there are people I went to high school with that did double-digit jail prison time, and they're back out in the street right now. You know what I'm saying? The reason that I'm not with them and I didn't go with them was because of a lot of people like this panel here that got at me. So I say, and I start this off by saying, we say the youth is out of control. If the youth is out of control, it's not the youth failing us, it's all of us failing the youth.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people that are not going to be on the front line like Jesse and my brother Henry. You know what I'm saying? But there is something you can do. There's a program you can start. There's a safe place you can start. There's a mentorship that you can do. There is something everyone can do. And if you want to change, we have to stop looking to elected officials. We have to stop looking to all these leaders. We got to stop looking for people outside of our community to come in and help us and save us. Nobody's going to fight for you if you're not going to fight for yourself. You know, Damon and I, plenty of times we fight for somebody, and then when the rocks start coming back, we turn around, and the people we fight for ain't even theirs. Why we the only ones getting hit? It's your fight. You know what I'm saying? We get hit. You know, we tired of fighting for people that ain't going to fight for themselves. Now, there's people who can't fight for themselves, and we will always stand with them. You understand what I'm saying?
My thing is, I hear you, AJ. I'm going to interrupt you. I've been asking on my page all through. They have not said word. Say something to the parents. Say something to the community. We voted you in. You have to say something. Our leadership has not said one word about the gun violence in Mount Vernon for a while. Shots fired every night. People say, Jesse, I'll call the police. They never showed up. They were shooting behind Ebony Gardens again last night.
Right.
That time we got shot Saturday. So where does it stop? 3rd Street. They on the corner. I drove by in the daytime. 40 guys out there shooting dice. The police just drove by and did nothing. Now you tell me, do they want to police Mount Vernon?
No,
Where's our leadership at? Where's it at?
I agree with you all the way. And I say that these elected officials are there because we put them there. You understand what I'm saying? We vote them. So we have the right to call them and critique them and stay on them and make sure they do what it needs to be done. But it needs all of us to call them. It needs all of us to cut. That's another thing you can do. Stay on your elected officials. Demand what it is that you want. You understand what I'm saying? We have to start doing this, and we're not doing this. Other communities don't have this problem because they tell their elected officials what they want. They also tell their police departments how they want to be policed, how they're going to police their communities. We don't. So we have to step up. That's why there's no elected officials on this. That's why there's no police commissioners here. This is a call to action from the community, from those who are out there, to other members in the community to step up. And that's it. Damon, anybody want to touch upon this?
Can I weigh in for a minute?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mark. Go ahead, Mark.
And I appreciate the passion conversation. But we as a community, we have to empower ourselves. Mm-hmm. I like to say we've been lulled into a grasshopper mentality. And I'm a preacher of the gospel, so I'm going to turn to a story in the Bible where the children of Israel were going in to possess the land, and they saw giants in the land. And they said, we were in our own sights as grasshoppers, and so we were in the giant sight. And for so long, I think our community have seen ourselves as grasshoppers, and we adopted this grasshopper mentality. We have to break out of that. We have to empower ourselves. And we're responsible ultimately for our kids and for our community. And I think it's important. And I really feel brother Jesse. I really feel that. I feel that so strong in my spirit. And I have the same spirit. You know, the momentum's in the doing. We have to begin to do. We have to begin to take actions our own selves. And we have to stop seeing ourselves as grasshoppers. And empower ourselves to change our community, to wrap our arms around these young men who we see out there, not following the right path. We have to feel agency to say to confront them and wrap our arms around them and to change them. And we have to demand what is right for our community. I was going to call with the police commissioner just the other week. He had the nerve to say it was up to the community.
Yes, he did.
To address the problem. And I had to tell him, you're absolutely wrong. You have to do the job. We have to partner with you, but you have to do the policing. He was saying, "Oh, we don't want confrontation." Well, policing, the definition of policing is confrontation. It's just being able to confront our people with respect, with empathy, and with professionalism. but you still have to confront the problem. And so, I always say that we should dialogue, but in this conversation, we need to get in ourselves and reinforcing ourselves that we are the change. We are the power that is going to actually save our communities. Us.
Henry, I'm gonna get to you. Henry, well, hold on. Lorraine wanted to speak, and I haven't given her a chance, so let her. Then Henry, then Brother John. Go ahead, Lorraine. Your mic is off.
So I'm here listening to all you gentlemen and Miss Angela here, and I lived that life. That's the only life I knew. That was normal. That shit was all normal to me. For me to dodge a bullet, or for me to grab somebody and jump on their back and protect them so that they don't get killed. All that shit, that's normal to me. I went up on Northern Hill yesterday, right? And I saw this little girl. You won't be able to see her, but she's wearing a T-shirt. It's a memorial T-shirt. And I just found out she's my great niece. The picture was my brother. And I had a little brother with 6 people, took 2 guns, and took turns shooting him. So he got shot 6 times. And I found him dying. So this what we're talking about, it's my reality every day. It's my community's reality every day. And I cannot, for the life of me, I'm sitting here saying, do I know of a Hispanic male that can come in here and join this board? I don't know one. I don't know one. We got a piece of shit legislator that lives in that community and doesn't do a damn thing. When we say it's up to us, it is up to us. But when we try, those leaders, they don't help us. They don't give us the resources we need. We don't have the tools to make it out of there. So then what do? We organize, and then what? We got to hold them accountable. And if we elect them and they're in there, okay, you know what? We'll wait for the next time, but they're there now. Hold every single one of them accountable. We got all these wonderful organizations right here. We got 1 million not-for-profits in Yonkers. How do they get their money? They get the statistics. They get the gun violence. By the way, when I saw that little girl with the shirt, I had on a shirt too. It was a picture of a 15-year-old girl that I just had to do her funeral because she died of a fentanyl overdose. She took a Percocet because her neck hurt. And it killed her. This is our reality over here. This is the shit I go through every day. And I'm tired. Your brother John knows. We trying. But ain't nobody helping. Ain't nobody gives a shit.
You got that right.
I wanted Lorraine to speak because my brother, Dr. Bob, I want to shout him out. Like my other co-host, Dr. Bob, both of them lost 2 brothers to senseless gun violence in the street. Dr. Bob to Mount Vernon and Lorraine to Yonkers. And they can definitely speak from that perspective. And I definitely wanted to give her a chance to speak. Henry and then Brother John, go ahead.
I just wanted to piggyback off what Damon said. Brother, you absolutely right when you said that it starts with us and the different cliques and how we shoot each other down and how we try to kill each other's character. I'm out in these streets every day, me and my team. Jesse's out in these streets every day. And we see each other, we talk to each other, we call each other, we inform each other. Something happens, I give Jesse a call. Something happens, Jesse gives me a call. But at the same time, you got people that are putting up posts or putting up comments or saying they don't like Jesse or saying they don't like Henry. When the simple fact of the matter is, Jesse and Henry are always in the same place, out in the community. Like Jesse said, I just 2 days ago got a phone call from a young man that found a gun in the bushes and said he just saw me and Jessie on live doing the shooter response for the 17-year-old man that got killed. He said, I found it and I had it for a couple of days and I was contemplating what to do with it. He said, but when I saw the video, I felt like I could trust you and I called you. And we was able to get that gun off the street.
Good.
And that's what this community needs. These young men need to know that there's somebody out here that they can trust. These young men need to know that there's somebody out here that they can reach out to. And that's what the community is missing. Like Jessie said, where's the fathers? Where's the godfathers? The old timers, the neighbors? Like, where we at? Every time we have a shooting response, every time we put together a community event, I promise you, 85% of the people that's helping put that event together, they're women. There's hardly ever any men that show up. There's hardly ever any men that show up. I got a list of volunteers that work with the Snug team. On that list, I believe it's 28 people. Out of that 28 names, 3 of them are males. The other 25 are all women. We need the men to show up because it takes a man to teach a young boy how to be a man.
Right.
That's it.
That's true.
Ain't no other way.
Ain't no other way.
Let's not get it twisted.
Plain and simple. Mothers, I commend y'all. Mothers, I love y'all. Mothers, I respect y'all. But I learned how to be a man.
I am man.
My father. It took my father to teach me how to be a man. Men gotta show up. They're not showing up. They sitting back and hide behind the curtains, and the women are coming out.
AJ, if I can speak for a second.
Yes, yes, go ahead. Then Brother John, I will get you.
Okay.
I want to go after Brother John, definitely.
Okay, I just want to touch on the subject, and I'm sure we can all relate to it. The problem also with our Black men is the economic gap. You got guys that are coming home, right? Nobody wants to hide them. I know in New Rochelle, the housing authority, most of my maintenance staff is comprised of guys who came home, guys who came off the block. It is important, like I said, we all have to work together. Myself, Mark, and Nate, we're working with our elected officials and the people that's in high office, because at the end of the day, each one of our communities, New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, and Yonkers, got an infusion of cash from the state. And we need to tap into those dollars in order to create these robust programs. It should not be that our cities don't have a place, a one-stop shop, where people can go and get economic empowerment, all type of resources available to them. These things are lacking in our community. And like I said, I applaud the brother Jessie and Henry for being out there. But the fact of the matter is there are dollars out there that each one of our cities have, and they need to be pouring those dollars into
Exactly.
Because you can go out there, like I'm out there on Horton Avenue, okay? And the fact of the matter, if there is not a conversation to address the economic gap between Blacks and white, we sitting up here spinning our wheels. Because those guys are saying to me, Miss Angela, I can make more money out here than, working in McDonald's.
Yeah.
We need to come together and figure out a way, okay, that we need to be able, those same dollars that's being infused in our communities, they need to be infused in the pockets of those brothers so they can turn their lives around.
Yep.
That is important.
Thank you, Brother John.
Oh, this deep there. It's getting. Well, like I always tell you, I come from different ways and different angles that there's ownership to a lot that people have to do, but we need to apologize too, because we dropped the ball.
That's right.
And a lot of people like to talk about that, because I remember growing in Edenwald, first hearing the Crips and the Bloods. Crips and the Bloods wasn't always a big thing. It came out, I said, that'll never come to New York. We'll never see the Crips and the Bloods. They here, and we allowed that to happen because nobody stepped up back then. This so-called thing called hip hop. when they changed the hip hop into gangster rap. No one stopped that then. We should have been put a stop to that. But we were allowing them to say nigger and bitches and talking about women. If I tell somebody we're having a party for Cardi B, it'll be packed in the square. But if I say we're going to go against the radio station and say stop playing, shoot our kids, and do this to our women, won't nobody show up. So we've dropped the ball on a lot too that we are not standing up for. We'll blame all the leadership. I don't need the leadership to take people down there and say, we don't want you playing this. Let me tell you this. Jadakiss has the All About the Benjamins. He says, you should do what we do, stack chips like Hebrews. You'll never hear him say Hebrews on the radio because the Jews said you will not play that. We don't go down there and tell them what we don't want to play for our kids from 7 in the morning to 9 going to school. All they hear is, I could put 6 in this nigga. I could put 5 in him. If you're hearing this every day, what you think they're doing? That's the life they think they live. We need to change a lot. It's not just, it's so many things that we don't talk about because Black people do not want to stick together. The biggest problem is we don't want to stick together on nothing. We could talk about 12 things and we said, let's go. Somebody will find a reason why they don't want to go. Somebody will find a reason why, oh, don't mess with that one. Oh, don't do this one. We need to start finding ways to say, Jews don't get along. But when they walk out their door, they stand as one. So if you think they all sit there and they together, no, when they walk out their door, we stand as one, regardless if I agree or don't agree. So we have a lot of apologizing to do far as us dropping the ball. Now, the other thing, I was a part of that General Motors crew, Damon, and I remember General Motors was big in Terrytown.
That's
and
right.
you know, you if you knew somebody, you put somebody in. My mother put me in General Motors, you know, and we don't have that now where you can go. I would want to know when we're when we're building these stores are coming, Target, all these places. Why are they giving the jobs to some of the kids in Mount Vernon in the community? That should be the first thing that happens before it even happens. You know, we wait till it's over with, and then we come back and say, well, why you didn't give our jobs? Well, it's too late to talk about it now. It's already done. So like I'm saying, let's take ownership of the ball that we dropped. Now, as far as the guns are going to be hard because the guns are too easy to get. You know, I had a kid ask me, and I always said, I don't even know what I told him, but I'll ask the panel. Maybe they could tell me. I had because I'm a boxing coach. I've been in Yonkers YMCA team for 15 years. I've taken plenty of kids off the street. I know most of the kids that were from the gangs, I don't know their gang name because they told me, we respect you, coach. You don't know my gang name. I didn't ever know they were in the gang, you know. But the thing is, I had a young kid, 14, ask me, coach, what do you do if you carry a gun and you don't want to carry a gun? So y'all forget there's kids out there who carry it and don't want to carry it. But it's for their safety or their surroundings.
Exactly.
What do you tell that kid? So we need to. Sometimes people say, "Well, I don't see you out there. Your boots are not on the ground." I tell them, you know why I don't go? Because I'm not going out to march with nobody no more to hear a good speech, right?
Exactly.
If you're going to say, "Let's put some action in," I'll be the first one with you. When I go to the kids, I want to be able to say, "Listen, we're going to build you a facility here for you. What would you like? It's coming. We're not thinking about it. It's coming. If I have nothing to offer you, then there's no need for me to go see you." We always say what we're gonna do. So that's why I'm not there. But if we say we're gonna have action, I heard 100 good speeches this year. Woo, that speech was deep. That was a deep speech. Did you hear it? But what happened after the speech? A speech without action is absolutely nothing. Nothing from nothing leaves nothing.
No.
So we need to get more action. We get the solutions, let's act on it. If Jessie comes and say, listen, here's 3 solutions, then let's go act on it. But if we're just going to talk about it and just keep talking, yeah, I'm staying here. There's no need to go out.
Yeah, I want. Oh, go ahead, brother Nate. Go ahead,
Brother
brother
Nate. Yeah.
There's so much going on in this conversation, and so many people said so many poignant things. I'm with the kids every day, all right? And my mindset is preventative measures. So when we talk about what our kids are doing nowadays, this device right here has destroyed some of our kids. These little things right here, okay? Because if you start to really dig into what they're watching and what they're doing, most of our kids are being trained to be followers, right? Everything is about a follow. Who am I following? Or who is liking what I'm putting out there? We grew up in a generation where we fought to be the leaders when we was playing tag, two-hand touch, right? Everybody wanted to be the leader. There's no leaders out here anymore with our young kids. And when we start talking about the fathers and where the fathers are, there is systematic. Did I freeze a little bit?
You back?
No, there's systematic destruction that's happening in our community, both internally and externally.
Yes.
Okay. So when we start talking about the systematic destruction externally, we talk about where our fathers were. We have killed the hope and the desire for our men to feel confident about themselves because of mass incarceration. All right. They're coming back to their communities. A lot of them were going into jail as rich men. Whatever they were doing, they had a block. They were doing what they were doing, but they come home with nothing. Okay. So that's why we're seeing the cyclical return to prison for so many of our men. But then we start talking about family court and how many of our fathers are being told you cannot see your son because you're in a court procession with your mother and the father, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know more men right now that cannot see their sons because of what they're dealing with their, I don't want to call them baby mothers, but their significant others that raised that child, right? So we're destroying ourselves with that. And it takes two to make them and two to raise them. And we have to start thinking about that. So all my young women out there that's preventing some of our young men to be fathers to their kids, we have to stop that internally. I run a football program and 80% of the people I'm talking to are mothers. I have fathers that are sitting on the outside of the fence and saying, I can't come to the game because I have a restraining order from seeing my own son. That's real right now. And we're facing that. So we got to get to that. And the last thing I want to say is that adult connection and a sense of belonging. Brother John, you kind of hit on that. We have to start as the men of the community. We have to start creating a sense of belonging. And what are these programs that we're doing? Not saying we have a building, but they have to feel a part of that building, right? We have to create an adult connection and get to know these kids. These kids out here saying things like, you only live once. I got one life to live. They have no hope. Because the flip side of that is, yes, you only have one life to live. So what are we going to do with it to make sure each day moves toward a progression of success for your life? Forget the pipeline to prison. We got to start thinking about the pipeline to prosperity. And when we get to that point, we're going to be raising some great men out here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
After what he said, AJ, real quick, after what he says, because he made a good point.
Get Minister Mark.
Because like in the boxing, you know, I have kids in boxing. My boxing team, I have 50 kids in the boxing program. On my actual boxing team, I may have 22 or 20. But those other kids just want to be a part of. They just, as long as they get a boxing jacket, they come and hit the bag for 20 minutes and they'll sit with me. But that's enough for them to say, I'm not in the street. I'd rather be here doing this. Doing that. And that's why I'm so hard on when I say youth facilities. I always say that. If we have you can get girls in there and do double dutch. Like you said, when you play the two-hand touch, the leaders, I had a guy across the street from me named Jeff Patterson. I don't know if people know him from Mount Vernon. He took all the young kids and said, let me teach you how to play two-hand touch. Let me teach you how to do this. But if you don't have the facilities there, I don't know. I know New Rochelle has champs boxing because I relate to boxing. But they have to be. I said, why is not a youth facility near Slowbound? Why is not a youth facility near School Street? Right? When you have it there, they can do it. Every kid's not going to play basketball. I know kids that play checkers and had a ball playing checkers for the next hour and a half. But if it's not there, they're not going to do it. Like I said, the double touch, the two-hand touch, the tag. You have to start getting them when they're young, talking to them then in these facilities. But if you have no facility, there's nothing you can do. But to them, the streets is a facility right now. And that's when I say we have to go into leadership, because we desperately need these facilities. I don't care what it takes. You got money for everything else. Then you got money when the Wick Skyrises come in and come to build a facility next to it that these kids can play in. Make some kind of deals with it. But we definitely need to get more for these kids to go to, because believe it or not, they will come. We got Snowbomb and I think Whitney Young, who got a center in the building and can't use it.
Yeah.
How does that happen? They have centers, but they can't use. Well, They're too old. They're not using them now. So you're telling the kids that live there, we have a center, but you can't use that center. How does that work? And like I said, from the smallest game of tic-tac-toe to crab soccer, you can make up stuff, and some of these kids would love to play it. But if we don't have it, like they say, if you build it, they'll come.
They'll come.
Well, I just like to add on to what Brother John is saying in terms of we have to realize that there are many levels to this struggle, and one of the levels are we have to become more sophisticated in being able to identify the resources and be able to get those resources. I had the city manager say to me, listen, we're ready to invest in the Black community. You got to give me programs. You got to give me proposals. So we have to become sophisticated enough to be able to put together a proposal to allow funds to be invested into our community. That's a really, really key piece. And so right now, I'm in the process of trying to focus all of my people that I work with, the leaders, to get programs to be put on the city manager's desk so he can invest in. I was successful in getting a vocational program funded for a summer program and an after school program, which is unprecedented. But if we step up to the plate and learn how to be sophisticated like the Jewish community and all these other communities in terms of writing proposals so that we can have money invested in our community, then that's going to go a long way to being able to have resources to have that youth center and those youth programs. But that is a struggle there. That's a level of the struggle that we have to become more intentional about in learning how to navigate. Thank you for that time.
AJ, can I respond to that, please?
Jesse, go ahead.
Yeah, within Mount Vernon, there's nothing here. They're in the process right now building a lot of buildings, with no parking. I took a video of Ice Hutch. I coached many years, Babe Ruth, Little League, everything. You check out my video, go on my page and see the conditions of the Ice Hutch. Ages 12 up to 21 plays baseball, the big field. It's tore up. You can't use it. I took a video of New Rochelle. They're doing the park over. Show Mount Vernon. Listen, we need something for the kids. I'm trying to get chess tables inside Harley Park. I'm an avid chess player. There's a lot of kids that don't play football or basketball. They're very good, intelligent. Let's build those brains. I reached out to Rick Wright at the rec center over here. I missed a call. We talking about it. I'm trying to get chess tables over there. But there's a lot they could do for the youth here. Double Dutch competition throughout Mount Vernon, Brooklyn, Queens. They have girls that compete for the competition. Jump. There's a lot of things they could do here, but I think the vision is in the wrong place. They are building nothing for the youth here. We don't have a movie theater, bowling alley. We shop outside of Mount Vernon. We eat outside of Mount Vernon. We watch it, go to entertainment outside of Mount Vernon. So what do they have? They have the streets. The summertime is coming. It's going to be rough. Henry knows. He gets the calls. We try to prevent it the best way we can.
We used to have 4 movie theaters. We had a roller skating ring on McQuestion Parkway. We had a bowling alley. We had a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't know how the ball got dropped. Now we ain't got nothing. Like you can't do nothing recreational. For those who got money, you got to go to Yonkers, New Rochelle, or Westchester to go to a movie. Like you can't do nothing here. Like you can't even invest in your community because there's nothing here. Go ahead, Damon.
That's by design.
Absolutely.
Look, that's by design. Let's not continue to be fooled. It took an organization from outside of Westchester to sue Westchester County for segregation. Not too long ago, maybe 5 years ago.
In housing, yep.
Exactly. So if you don't think we're segregated in housing, we're systematically segregated. As I always say, we live in up South, right? We're just as segregated as some of these towns and villages in the South. Let's not be fooled because we got some nice houses, Mercedes Benz and Gucci bags, right? We're still segregated up here in Westchester. We're still segregated, and it's systematically, and they know it. They know it because it's in the report. I keep on saying, and that's why a lot of politicians hate when I talk, because it's already in black and white in the report that we're segregated. And everything that's happening in Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, was predicted in that report. The crime and violence was predicted in that report. And listen, and this is another thing. How the hell, excuse me, sister, but I gotta say it, how the hell do we have so many legal guns in the state that has the toughest gun laws? Think about it. Think about it.
I agree.
Because when they passed that gun law, brother, we was up there. We was up in Albany. We met with Governor Cuomo. And we told him, you're passing a gun law that's no different than the Rockefeller drug laws. Because you put the young black and brown brother in jail for having an illegal gun, but you don't increase the penalties on the gun trafficker.
Exactly.
It's no difference, because the majority of legal guns, and people that's listening to me, I don't talk to be talking. You can just Google it. The majority of legal guns in New York State come from outside of the state.
Yep.
They come from outside of the state. So you don't increase the crime and you don't increase the punishment on the gun trafficker, which is usually white.
Not us.
Right. But you increase the penalty on the young brother that gets the illegal gun because his community is systematically drained of resources, and now he has to protect himself. See, we need to get and call Tish James out. What you going to do about it, Tish? What you going to do about it? Because we got illegal guns in the black community. What are you going? We don't want to hear about Trump. We don't want to hear about you going after Trump. We want to hear what you're going to do that's going to affect black people that are suffering. Now, they like to say that black men don't work, right? Now, black men come to jail all the time. I see them all the time. So explain to me how a brother locked up in Westchester County Jail will work 3 jobs for $1 a job, work around the clock. So you can't say he don't want to work. He has the work ethic, right? He has determination to get up out of his bed to make $3 a day doing 3 jobs. But when he gets out, he can't find a job. Just making minimum wage. And something that Charles Barron said, and I'm going to say it here, and I challenge everybody from your local, your state, your local, county, and state, racism is in the budget. Every city and county and state budget, racism is in the budget. Start paying attention to how your city spends its money and where. Because you will see that they ain't spending it on you. Now, Brother Mark, you said that the New Rochelle city manager said,
yes, he did.
Bring me programs. You don't need to have that job. You don't need to have that job if you don't have the wherewithal to find programs that help the people that vote for the people. You need to go work for IBM. See, because we need to put people in office that has the wherewithal and the consciousness to do it. We shouldn't have to tell you. You getting the perks, you getting everything as elected official, and you can't bring programs to the city, then you don't need that goddamn job. Go work for the private sector. We need people with consciousness. I don't even care about the color. I'm talking we need conscious people in office.
That's true.
Because enough is enough. Yep. We live one of the richest counties in the nation, and our communities are catching hell.
The richest county.
And nobody saying nothing. Nobody's saying nothing. And they don't even want to put black people in charge in Westchester County. Unless you boot dancing and licking. They don't want to put conscious people. There's not one black commissioner in the law enforcement departments. Woman or male. Correction, probation, police. We have deputy commissioners, but we don't have commissioners. And how the black deputy commissioners have more experience than the white commissioners.
You only got one black commissioner, police commissioner in all the 43 municipalities, and that's Mount Vernon. There is no other black community.
Exactly. And they're appointed by the mayor. The mayor that gets our votes. That we go out and we campaign for, and we can't get a black person in charge of one of the police departments outside of Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon historically has had a black commissioner. The last time we seen a black commissioner in correction was Norwood E. Jackson. And I think the only time we're going to get a black man in charge of that building will be Norwood E. Jackson. His name's on the building. That's the last time we're going to see a black man in charge. But they'll rather have a commissioner with a GED, but don't want to appoint a black man with a doctor's degree. Think about it. See, we got a lot of these things twisted because we're not in the right. We don't have conscious people in the right places making conscious decisions.
In the room where it happens.
And that's by design too.
Totally.
That's by design too. So I think we have to change the way we think and how we do politics. So what's the point of having black people in charge and we still starving?
Thank you.
What's the point?
Yeah.
Why are we putting you in office and you ain't changing the condition of the poor? You ain't changing the condition of the single mothers. You ain't changing the condition of the children. So what the hell are we voting for you for? We might as well have Bull Connor. I'd rather have a white man then. If I'm gonna put a black man that's not gonna look out for the interests of our people, that's part of politics.
Well, that's Damon. That I'm sorry, but that goes to when I said that I heard David Dinkins say, I'm not just the black people's mayor, I'm everybody's mayor. I told you I heard Obama say the same thing, not just the black people's president, everybody's president. I said it took a white man to say, he said, African American, I got your back. He was much more comfortable saying it than our own black people saying it.
See,
and that bothered me a lot.
White people don't have to say that.
If you don't remember it, you can Google it. You can see it.
We the only ones that have to say
that. Stop acting like we can't say nothing. We can't. We got to stop acting like we can't talk. I can hear you. It froze up, Damon.
Huh? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Are we frozen?
Oh, yeah. No, we just.
But John,
look, and
I can hear you now.
John, you're frozen.
John, you're freezing.
Can we hear
you? Freezing.
Oh, we got frozen.
Yeah, you got frozen.
And let me give y'all an example. There's a program in Washington D.C. Yeah, you're freezing, John. Yeah, you freezing, John.
Yeah, you're delayed. Yeah, go ahead, Damon.
There's a program in Washington D.C. It's called the Office of Returning Citizens. It's a one-stop shop for people that get out of jail.
Yep.
It's called the Office of Returning Citizens. We pitched that program to the county executive. I know the people that started that program. These brothers that got out of jail and they bought a lot of real estate in DC and they started the program. And they were willing to come up to Westchester County. You know what they told me? Well, we got DSS. I said, well, they got the Department of Social Services down there in Washington, D.C., but they still saw the need of having a department to address that direct issue. So some of these people don't want to change because it's systematically. See, because even if you bring solutions, right, they tell you to go get the solutions thinking that you just ain't going to bring none. But once you bring a proven solution,
they shoot it down.
They shoot it down.
Mm-hmm.
They shoot it down. So these are the people that we dealing with.
So we're shining the light, and there's a lot of reoccurring themes that we're hearing, and the reality of it is, there's two things. we have to start to create for ourselves and stop looking for a politician or for somebody else to do something for our community that we can do when we come together. I hate to hear that Brother Henry and Brother Jesse deal with what they deal with in Mount Vernon, with brothers hating on them when they're trying to do the right thing. We sometimes also get in our own way. We still have that crabs in the barrel mentality where we're fighting for power and not fighting for justice, equity, our communities, our kids. And someone had mentioned on the chat also just a few minutes ago, we talk about all the things that we see needs to happen. We also got to hear from the people that's affected by it. We need to start listening.
Can't have conversations about the youth without including the youth.
Without including the youth, you know, too often we live vicariously through what we've done and what we see and what we think is best. Oh, this program is perfect for our kids, but have the kids said that's perfect for them because they're now in a mindset.
That's why I picked the people on this panel, because most of the people on this panel are working with the youth. They deal with the youth. They interact every day with the youth. You understand what I'm saying? And that's why I picked the particular people. I want to shout out a couple of people. We didn't do a lot of I want to share this with all the elected officials and candidates, but I didn't invite them. But we do have people checking out the show. Our new district attorney, Mimi Rocha, is checking out the show. Joanne Dunn, the executive director of the youth shelter of Westchester, is checking out the show. Sandy from the Boys and Girls Club from Mount Vernon is checking out the show. We have a lot of people talking in amongst themselves in the comment section, sharing numbers. Like, I wanted this to be a call to action, and every one of you are a leader in your community. You understand what I'm saying? Each one of y'all. And that's why I wanted to bring this together. While we're expressing all the things that's wrong, I would like to hopefully come out of this where we're expressing something that we can do or work together. Kwame Dixon said, let's get together with some sort of New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, Yonkers coalition or something.
Right.
You know, there's things that we can do. And again, I'm glad that people are taking the opportunity. I've seen certain people of certain organizations exchanging numbers with people in other organizations in the comment section. And that's why I put this together. You know, hopefully we get to some solutions. Brother Mark, you have something to say?
Yeah, you just said what I was just gonna say about Brother Kwame's suggestion, and I would really sincerely like to interface with the brothers from Mount Vernon,
right?
And you know, let's build and even though what Brother Damon says about the elected officials, they should do for our community automatically. You know, that's not the reality. We have to go to them and hold their feet to the fire and make them do for our community. And so I would like to interface with you guys. I have a strong relationship with a lot of the elected officials on many levels, the state level, county executive, and we just need to put together a strategy to make them invest into Mount Vernon and into our communities, New Rochelle, Yonkers. And if we come together, as Brother Kwame said, there's powers in numbers, and we can feed off of each other. And so I really hope, as Brother AJ said, that we get some action plans for constructive engagement. I really hope we can come together and connect. I would be more than open to working with you guys in Mount Vernon and Yonkers and whatever we can do. Likewise, you guys working with us in New Rochelle.
Exactly. Another shout out. I just got a text message from County Legislator David Marr, who's tuned in, and he said, excellent program. I want to give him a shout because he's also boots on the ground.
Yes,
from all my people from New Rochelle always tell me when something happens, when Kamal Flowers got killed, whatever, he's boots on the ground. He's right out there in the projects with everybody. He is not scared to go in the projects. He's there with the people, so I wanted to give him a shout. He's tuned in as well. And we need more people like that. Like I said, Damon said, it don't always have to be a person of color, more as opposed to a person of conscience, because everybody who look like us is not for us. You understand what I'm saying? We keep putting these people, we keep voting for people because, and I'm not calling nobody out, because when I say, I know it's gonna sound like I'm saying something about any particular. We got to stop voting for people because they're the first Black women, or because they're the first Black person, or because they're the first women of color in this position. Or that's great. and it's great to have that look. But if you don't have what goes with that, it serves no purpose. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather have a person of conscience that doesn't look like me on the front lines with me than people that look like me that ain't doing nothing for me. Yeah, and you talk about, Jesse, what Jesse and Henry talk about. Hell, do you know how many people we're fighting for? The people since we've been in existence, Black Westchester. The people we fighting for are some of the biggest people against us. The people we're trying to unplug from the matrix that want to stay plugged into the matrix. They're some of the biggest critics and the people that come against us and got something to say all the time about us. So, I wanted to do this. Like I said, my brother Damon's been fighting for years, and he said this is the same conversation we've been having over and over. I think we still need to have it. We have new voices. Jesse's been involved in the last 2.5 years because of stuff he heard. I know brothers that have told me that Henry Terry has inspired them to step up. You know what I'm saying? I know people that Lorraine influences on the street, and they have stepped up in some sort of capacity because of the work she's doing. I know Angela is out there. Kwame and other people like, yo, you in the jungle with us. I know you out there. I've dealt with Brother Mark, you know what I'm saying, with like I said, on police profiling of Black people in New Rochelle and all that kind of stuff. And, these people that are out there, we need, me and Brother John talk all the time. We need to get together. This is a call to action more than anything else. If nothing else, I'm hoping that there are others who are watching this who will be influenced by seeing this conversation to step up and be like, I can do this. Now, I'm not sure if Brother Henry want me to talk about this. At the rally that he had, so Brother Darren Morton stepped up and said, and I'm going to put it, he said it, and then we got it on camera. He said, he has to apologize, Reverend Darren Morton of Macedonia Baptist Church. He said, we have to look at ourselves, like Damon said, and he said, and see how we're feeling. And he said, I have to apologize on how I failed the community. And he made the point of pointing out, I have a building on the corner of where that young man sits, the Macedonia Community Center that basically sits empty. Now, he approached Henry Terry, and I had a conversation with him, so he's running for controller, and I'm hoping it wasn't just because he's running, because we're going to hold his feet to the fire. He asked Brother Terry, Brother Henry, to put a program together to come back to him. Now, I'm hoping that he's authentic, and I'm not trying to put him down or nothing, but those are the things that we need when people, he identified he got a building on that corner, the corner where that young man was shot. You know what I'm saying? That things could be happening. We need to take him up on that. And if he doesn't, when we do take him up, and if he doesn't live up to those words, then we need to hold him accountable. Again, he said this himself, his own words. That's why I'm saying this. Have you heard from him? Have you been in touch with him? That's
good, great question, AJ. He did acknowledge the fact that I've been talking to him for a few years in reference to that building and us being able to utilize that building to formulate some type of programming for any given time, because I know that the church itself wasn't utilizing the building, and the honesty that he showed on that day, it really it meant a lot to me, because I've gone to him quite a few times in regards to the building, and sometimes people will tell you we'll talk, right. But this time, I guess him being on the scene, seeing the youth, seeing the how the youth was affected by what was going on, because each one of those young people that was out that night, they were all connected to that young man. Each and every one of them were connected to that man that lost his life. And I get to finally be in the presence, finally be able to smell the stench, and finally have your feet get stuck to that tar that is just eating up our community. It struck a chord in him, and he did say that we are going to meet, and we're going to make sure that we revisit that conversation about that building being offered up to hold some programs in for youth. We have not met as of yet. I actually was away last week because I had to train a new class of outreach workers coming in to do the outreach work that we do in our communities. But I will be here this week, and I will be reaching out to them, and I will let you know exactly what takes place when I do reach out to them. Because just like you, there's a lot of other people waiting to see what's going to happen, or if it was just something being said in the moment. But I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, because this is the first time that, without me saying something, that was brought out.
Right.
Brother.
And I wanted to bring that up. I wanted, before you go, Damon, I also wanted to connect. See, I'm listening to what's being said. Sister Angela said we need a program like Snug and New Rochelle. Brother Nate and Brother Mark said they want to reach out to you. I don't know if that's some kind of a conversation that can begin starting here, where there can be the beginning of maybe a Snug and New Rochelle, since they're actually saying we need it and it's not there. And I don't know what the process is in that whole creating a program, but hopefully y'all can connect. And anybody who needs anybody's number, just hit me, and I will make sure y'all got each other's numbers.
Let's connect. I put my email in the private chat because I can't get in the comments on Facebook. But I put my email in the private chat. Let's connect, because we have direct serving on the African American Advisory Committee. We have direct contact with the city leadership, so we can recommend a program like that with a direct line to the city leadership. So let's get together, let's interface, and let's talk about several initiatives that we can do.
And let's be conscious to this. We know that Mount Vernon and New Rochelle has had this tug of war for decades, right? For what? All for what, right? When we really get down to it. And we're at a point now, I want to shout out to my brothers in Mount Vernon, Mark Murray, Sparks, head football coach for New Rochelle High School, who's running our youth program along with Coach Mack, Ralph McKinley out there in Yonkers, Chico Flowers in New Rochelle. We're talking about really us as the core community of Southern Westchester, bringing our kids together, making sure our kids understand that we're all in the same plight together. And it has to start talking about the humanity. There's been a sister on there that has been dropping gems on the chat the whole time. Sadaya, I think her name was. But we had to really start bringing our community together. And when we start bringing them together, there's 3 phases we have to consider right now. We have to think about, 1, preventative stages for so many of our kids, right? We have to start really looking at these older elementary students, younger middle school students, and start understanding that they're going to be turning the tide very quickly. We need to start creating a sense of hope for our high school students. Let them know that there's an opportunity out there for them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be college, but we need to be training them on economic development. We need to be training them on vocational programs. We need to be guiding them and helping them to a black college. Okay. All right. Now I'm on my HBCU thing right now. So let's start making sure that they get the same love that they were getting in our communities when they go to college. And thirdly, we need to start thinking about transformative mindset for so many of our 18 to 24-year-olds. Okay. 1, preventative, sense of hope, transformative. But we can start looking at that age group from the ages of 10 to 24. In those 3 phases, we will start to see our community becoming a better community for our young men.
And Brother Mark, I'm going to jump before you. Okay, so I would love for us to collaborate on some of the things that have worked in various communities. I'll say at the Housing Authority, somebody brought up about listening to the youth. I went out and I listened to my youth. And some of the ones that we would deem, pipeline to prison kids, we took them off the block, off to Pennsylvania. We had a facilitator come in and teach them about conflict resolution. So there are things that we can all do collectively and individually. At the Housing Authority, I'm here to house residents, but I'm also there to make sure that they have the best quality of life. And our young adults, we need to wrap our arms around them. A lot of the young guys, even on the block, They just need somebody to let them know that they care. And
right.
I'm sure all of us on this meeting tonight, we care about the community that we serve. And it takes a village to raise a family. And I'm hoping, that we also don't forget about the young Black females out there who also need our support. That's very important, because there is violence even within the female community that we need to be talking about as well.
Huge.
So there's a lot for all of us to do. So I hope we continue this dialogue, and I'm loving it.
And Brother Nate just put out a nice comprehensive template. But I would say to you, Brother Henry, that we have a proposal of vocational training. It's called Booker T. Washington Vocational Institute that hits 14 to 17-year-olds that we can give you to present to Mount Vernon. It's already done. We got New Rochelle, like I said, to fund it. And so that's something that can be used in Mount Vernon. It can be used in Yonkers. It's a template that we can use to reach out to our kids, because we've inadvertently, by stressing college, we've inadvertently given our kids only two choices: college or the corner. And in between that is a vocational area, where you can really make a great living, being a plumber, electrician, a welder,
a mechanic.
And the
mechanic.
The vocational way of life is honestly more of a structure that the generation is going to be geared toward. Because a lot of them, they don't like school because they feel out of place in school. And they feel more comfortable learning a skill set where they work with their hands, and they can gain on the job training. They feel more comfortable. They feel more confident. In a classroom setting, a lot of them they go into a shell. But if you teach them something and you have an instructor showing them how to do certain things and walking them through it, you'll see them blossom like a full open rose. But if you take that same individual, that same young man, and you put him in a classroom, he'll shrink.
And I want to add to that, Brother Henry.
Training is very, very important to the culture. Very important to the culture.
And briefly on what you said too, Brother Henry, about the classroom. My wife is a teacher at White Plains High School. She originally started in the Bronx, and then came to White Plains. And I see the conversations that she's having with so many of her kids. And the reality of it is, there's an antiquated teacher that's still sitting in the classroom that doesn't know how to teach our kids. Right. And we have to also start understanding that we also need to start thinking about schooling and educating our kids the way we need to educate them. And that's why that setting is what it is. Because if you start that from kindergarten, and by the time you get to high school, you're done with the setting. Exactly. Because you got this in your ear and putting you in detention, and can't really address your challenges or really push you to that next level. Yeah, high school does become boring really quickly. So we got to address. There's a lot of things a lot of layers that we got to start to think about peeling back. But it starts somewhere. And this conversation, Brother AJ, Brother Damon, thank you for it.
I wanted to also say, I also wanted to say, another reason for putting a panel like this together of people that are out there making it happen. I'm having several conversations with our congressman, a brother who looks like us, who's out there representing us, who wants to do some stuff for us. But he has told me on more than one occasion, AJ and Damon, I need y'all to bring me some stuff that I can support. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like he wants to support. And he doesn't know all the landscape that we all represent. You understand what I'm saying? So we can come up with some stuff that I can take back to him. I'm not promising that we get money or nothing like that. I'm just saying that we have someone representing us right now who wants to help, who looks like us, who understands the need of a lot of what we're talking about, who also knows a lot of what we talk about, because he said on several occasions he's been a victim of police brutality, and they beat the shit out of him when he was 11. Like, he tells that story all the time. You know what I'm saying? So he understands the struggle, and he grew up in the projects in the Bronx, and You know what I'm saying? He was an educator.
He's an educator. So
right. He's an educator and started a school. So, but we just can't be going to him all willy-nilly. And we need to get others in the room where it happens. So there's other things we need to talk about. There's like economics. Like some of our brothers and sisters are very talented and are entrepreneurs, but they can't get funding from the white banks. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have things in place when we do have those to be able to provide the proper funding when they have the proper programs. You understand what I'm saying? We need to be thinking on the terms of that. And we need to be talking collectively as far as our elected officials, because as a block, we're all voting on the county executive. We're all voting on certain positions. You understand what I'm saying? And we need to, as a block, when these people are running, when they come to our churches, because they come to Grace, they come to Shiloh, they come to Bethesda. You understand what I'm saying? I know Shiloh. It's definitely Shiloh and Grace. They're always there. Sometimes they come to Centennial, and they come to one or two of the ones in the Yonkers. I can't think of the names of them. But we need to be like, yo, this is what we need as a community. We have to start being on the same page and be able to bring something to them and be like, look. We got a collective of people in Mount Vernon and Yonkers and the Rochelle. And if you ain't going to bring this, you ain't getting none of our votes.
Listen.
And each of us have votes behind us. And we say you're not getting the votes. You're not getting the votes. So if you want our votes, you need to come with something that's going to benefit us.
Exactly.
And we need to be thinking on that way, because that's how we can make a difference and it trickles down.
Well, AJ, I was just about to, I was going to close with that, right? Okay. Not just New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, Yonkers. But we have to add Greenburgh, White Plains, Terrytown, Peekskill, even Portchester. Every place.
We have some of the leaders from those communities.
Every place that there is a black and brown person, we need to add that to the coalition, because see, we have to start putting an agenda towards our county and state elected officials. See, it's amazing to me how the governor lives in Chappaqua, one of the cities that was desegregated by the last lawsuit. What's her name? Hillary Clinton, Chappaqua, and they don't talk about that. It's amazing how our governor lives in the county that black folks is suffering, and he doesn't talk about it. So we have to have a coalition. See, and we have to say, well, what have you really done for us lately? Just like the Jewish community does, just like the Irish community, every other ethnic community in Westchester County, they do it, but black folks, right? Because they want to lull us to sleep with symbolism. We got this Negro here in this position. We got this Negro there in that position. But our conditions on the ground floor don't change. Our conditions on the ground floor don't change because I see the collateral damage of that condition every day when I go to work. So we have to have a coalition of people. That's the only way we're gonna actually get change. We have to see a coalition, because if we're still having gang violence, and if we're still having illegal guns coming into our community, then those at the higher levels are not doing what they're supposed to do. And we have to call them accountable for that. The time, there's no better time than now. Right? We have what Westchester says, they have the most progressive county government. I didn't say it, they say it. They take an ad on Black Westchester and say they the most progressive county government.
The back page, yep.
but there's still more programs in jail than it is in the community.
That's right.
So go figure that. So when are we going to be progressive in making sure that we have proper vocational education for our children? When are we progressive in saying, instead of sending you to the county jail for a year, I sentenced you to community college. And if you don't go, then you go to jail.
Yep.
But if you graduate, you got to educate. And it's cheaper. It's cheaper. It's a hell of a lot cheaper to send a kid to community college than house them up there with me. It's a hell of a lot cheaper. So when are we gonna be that progressive to start doing progressive legislation? And that's what needs to be done. I saw Mimi Roka, our beautiful Westchester County DA, and she's brought a breath new of fresh air up in the DA's office. But we need to think about that instead of jailing our youth or sending them to the children's to the youth, children's village. Let's send them to community college, the nonviolent ones. Let's get them to the community college, and then if you don't do that, then we lock your behind up because that means you don't want to do right.
And that would take a program.
But we give them an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I think AJ, the next meeting should be about formulating this coalition.
Yes.
And you know, let's start acting. I always say the momentum is in the doing. So let's begin to set up the structure for us to act as a collective one. And so
I wanted to do this.
Hope that you can be the catalyst for that.
I wanted to do this publicly because I was hoping to encourage some of our community leaders to step up in our community. But after that, there may be a need for us to have this conversation privately, not streaming live, where we can start dealing with some of the issues if everybody on this page and this group is committed to something like that. So
I'm 100%
I would hope we can get somewhere like that. You know, Damon and I have been doing several things. Like, you know, we got our Democrats that don't do a lot for us, but they take our vote for granted. Damon and I started the Mount Vernon Independence Party. You know, when the Independent Party chairman of Westchester died, they kind of fell through. We also was behind the Westchester Black Political Conference. And do you know that the Democrats were scared that we were going to be like the Tea Party and take over the party? We were trying to unite young Black politicians from all over Westchester to be able to formulate and make some moves. And do you know the first person who paid membership to join? A white man who was a Republican at the time, David Tugliolo. We couldn't get the Black politicians to join and formulate our group. You know, we were trying to empower ourselves politically, but they didn't see the need.
They're scared of what we're talking about right now.
Absolutely.
And they're saying, here they go again.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
Lorraine probably gonna get 2 phone calls, but by the time this thing is over.
You already know.
Because they don't want this type of unity in Westchester County. And I worked for the county for 31 years.
Damon, what happened when we had somebody in the corrections that tried to do all the right things for the youth? What happened? He had to leave.
Oh, they jerked him.
They jerked him. They promised the Latino man that after they were going to give, they fought for some person of color as a chair in a commissioner position. They gave him the first deputy commissioner, and gave a white guy the commissioner, saying he was only going to be there a year, and then you were going to move up. This man, Louis Molina, brought the equivalence of my brother's keeper to the jail. This is unheard of. No jail has ever had this before. And he brought all kinds of programs to the point that he was expecting them to live up to their obligations and what they said, and they never promoted him, and the white guy never left. And eventually, he had a job on the table in Vegas for over a year that he was way more money, that he was holding them off because he wanted to see if Westchester County would do what they promised. They didn't, and we lost a valuable asset that looked like us in a position of power and was doing stuff that benefited our communities from the inside, and we lost a great ally. And see, we can't. And some of y'all know Louis Molina. Some of y'all have dealt with him before. We can't. We have to protect and stand by those that are doing for us. when they're speaking out for us and they're doing for us, we need to be there. And the community need to stand up and be like, no, you're going to honor that man, that commitment to that man, or you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, these people live off our tax dollars. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have so much power that we don't understand that we have, and we're the only people that don't understand we have this power. Every other group of people understands their power, and they utilize it.
Let me just say one more thing.
Grasshopper mentality.
Let me just say one more thing, so we can understand that we have to change our mindset, right?
Absolutely.
How do you, and I know some of y'all are watching. How do you take a black man who was chief of the county investigators, who was commissioner of Mount Vernon Police Department, one of the most busiest police departments in Westchester County, and put him as deputy commissioner, and then take a captain, and make him commissioner, put him over that black man? Well, see, we have to have these type of conversations, because no other ethnic community will accept that. But we are told to accept it and just be happy. Just be happy. Oh, you got a black person in place. No, he's qualified to be commissioner, not deputy commissioner. You have a man with Louis Molina with 3 master's degrees under a commissioner that has been said only have a GED. Figure that out. Figure that out. Yeah, I said it. And I'll go to work tomorrow.
His name is Spano.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to.
He's not the only Spano in position with a GED.
We have to have some self-respect, right? And we have to, and our black elected officials must have some self-respect. We have to have some self-respect for ourselves. That we don't tolerate this type of disrespect. Law enforcement departments are one of the most important departments that govern our future as the black community, because that is the entry point to the criminal justice system. And if we can't see people like us in charge, on a city and county level, in charge, then there's a problem. There's a problem, and they have to explain that to us, because it's not like we haven't brought qualified people in there. We brought a man with a doctor's degree in criminal justice. He didn't get hired. Why not?
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I wanted, because I'm looking at time, and I don't want to keep everybody but so long. I mean, I want to respect everybody's time. So I want to give everybody a chance for closing words. Also, shout out to Sandy from the Boys and Girls Club in Mount Vernon. She said, please let us know how we at the Boys and Girls Club in Mount Vernon can help with this. Anybody on this call who needs to get in touch with her, you let me know. I have her number, and I can connect her. There are other people. Again, shout out to our district attorney, Mimi Roca, who's doing a lot of progressive stuff right now.
Thank you, Mimi.
Who's trying to do stuff. Paul Anthony Cuesta, and I think he's in New Rochelle. Definitely somebody got boots on the ground. He definitely wants to be involved with whatever we're doing. Kwame Dixon, y'all know, in New Rochelle. Like a cousin to me. Definitely boots on the ground. So I want to give everybody a chance to give last words, and for this public forum, and this call to action for our communities. I'm gonna start with Brother John. Can you hear me, Brother John?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you now. Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay,
glad we hear you.
To be back. Right? Well, I'm gonna end. Okay, I'm gonna end it with the same thing I started with. My big thing is always going to be youth facilities, and getting more youth facilities in New Rochelle, Mount Vernon, and that's my pet peeve. Build it for the kids to have something to do. And one of the things I didn't get a chance to say, we also have to look at the musical part of it. And I play the trumpet. We need to get these instruments back into these youth facilities when we get them, so these kids learning how to read music. We got musicians out there that we're letting go get by it. So I'm one gonna, like I said, end it the way I started. Youth facilities. Thank you.
I'm gonna run through my brothers, and I'm gonna let my sister Angela have the last word amongst our guests, so she can have the last word. Brother Nate Adams, last words.
First and foremost, just want to thank this forum. Most importantly, we have work to do, and we know that the work can be done. Our ancestors have showed it, right? We don't come from a people that ever gave up, and right now, when we're united, we're feared. And right now, we need to put some fear in some people's places. Because right now, I know that when we finally come together and realize we don't need to protest anymore, because when we protest, we keep asking for something. It's to take time. It's to do time. It's to create time. The light is on us. It's been shined on everything that we've done and what's going on in our communities. Now, let's take, create, and make a better community. And I know when we're united, all of that can happen. God bless and thank you for this evening.
Before I go to the next guest, I just want to piggyback off what you said. We had the late honorable Student Minister Hafiz Muhammad several times on our show, and people got scared when he came on and said justice or else. We keep asking for things like you said, but we never give them the or else. You're going to do these things or else. There's never a or else. Or else we're not going to vote for you, else we're going to vote you out of office, or else we're not going to support you, whatever. There's never or else. And we need to get that. And that scared a lot of people. And funny, it scared a lot of Black people. That was the funny thing. It didn't just scare white people, it scared Black people too. We need to get to the point of the or else. The protesting, it has its place. The protesting, the marching still has its place. But we need to do the or else. You're gonna do these things or else. Martin Luther King, we keep talking about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King, all that marching and stuff was to change legislation. There was a goal behind that. We're doing this so you will change the legislation. Whether it came from riding on the back of the bus to whether we had the right to vote to whatever. But there was an end to the means. It wasn't just marching for the sake of marching. They didn't just get the water hose and dogs turned on them just for the hell of it. It was to change legislation. And we keep talking about we moving in the spirit of Martin Luther King, but we ain't thinking about changing no legislation. So we need to have that or else part. Brother Mark McLean.
Yes, I just want to thank you for organizing this. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad once said, "No one will do for you what you refuse to do for yourself."
Absolutely.
The Almighty told Moses when he was commissioning him to go and free his people, use what's in your hand. And I just want to say, we got everything that we need right here.
That's right.
To affect change and to bring salvation to our people. So I'm ready to start building the coalition. So thank you. I look forward to working with everyone on this call, and peace and blessings.
Brother Jesse.
Thank you. I'd like to thank AJ and Damien for this forum, gun violence forum. I'm so against guns. The names I read tonight were for the families. I pray for you every night. I'm there with you. Henry Terry, thank you. You know, if you're there, I'm not there. You know, I'm somewhere else doing something else. But if you call me, you know I'm there. Regardless of how people feel about me and you, it doesn't matter. I know what I'm doing and my heart is right for the people of Mount Vernon, the better Mount Vernon. What we want to do also is I want to hold elected officials accountable. Something we have to do and some people are not doing. We vote you in. You can't forget about us. We the people make the decisions in Mount Vernon. Just don't vote for somebody because you know them, because they're your friends. City's in a crisis right now. I'm in shots every night. People are reaching out to me. I know they're calling the police department as well. But things have to change here. So anything I could do, stand, march, protest, I keep it real. I'm going to keep doing it my way, but I'll stand with anybody on this forum, or anybody else that reach out to me, say, Jesse, I need you here today, right now. I have a program. We'll move on it. My boots stay on. Thank you. God bless everyone on here.
Brother Henry Terry.
Like everyone else, I just want to thank you, brothers, for not just putting this together, but having the fortitude to do so. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people that would have shied away from doing what y'all did. Not just today, so many other days, and I would be afraid to challenge people and positions that I've seen you guys challenge so many times. Jesse, I love you, brother. And nobody could ever pit me against you. You know what I mean? I know that if I pick my phone up, you're gonna answer. I know that I have picked my phone up, you have answered, and if you didn't answer, you got right back to me. And anytime you call, I saw that I had that missed call, or I got that message, I got right back to you. And nothing and nobody's gonna stop us from doing what we do, and nothing and nobody's gonna stop us from doing it together.
Appreciate that.
We stronger together, brother. No matter who don't like it or who don't want to see it, y'all might as well close your eyes and plug your ears up, because we're gonna be together. We're gonna keep doing what we do. And just like Jesse said, man, I look forward to these newly formed relationships, man, moving forward. Because I didn't get on here, and I'm here now just to have a conversation or engage any of you in conversation. I'm here looking for a relationship and plans to move this thing forward. Mount Vernon, New Rochelle, Yonkers, they're all separated by a line. If we cross the street either way, we'd be in each other's backyard. So I'm looking forward to working together. Thank y'all.
No doubt. Now I particularly made this strong on Black men, because the women have been on the forefront in every movement, behind the scenes and all. We have a lack of Black men standing up and being out there and being accountable. And that, you know what? That is the thing that they fear the most. You remember that scene in Malcolm X when they took that dude to the police station, and Malcolm started marching with the brothers, and everybody in the community started marching with him. That scared the hell out of them. They are scared to see Black men stand together. We need to not only stand up, but we need to be out there, and we need to support our sisters who are fighting. And that's why I'm giving the sister the last word amongst our guests. You know what I'm saying? But I made this heavy because I needed the people to see a presence of strong Black men who are out there with boots on the ground, who give a fuck, and are trying to make a difference. Excuse my language to all the ministers out there. But that's why I did this. And my sister, I say that to open the door for you for the last word amongst our guests.
Again, thank you, AJ. And it's not per chance that we connected on Mother's Day. And I recently lost my mother, and I was not planning on being out, but God has a purpose and a plan and everything. And there is something that just constantly rings in my head. I won't stop because I can't stop. I refuse to stop being out there on the battlefield for my Black people. I don't want to be at another funeral like I witnessed for Devontae, 25 and under, Kamal Flowers at his funeral, 25 and under. I am sick to my stomach of losing our Black men. And as I'm in New Rochelle on Horton Avenue on Main Street, I roll up in Yonkers, Slow Bomb, I roll up in Mount Vernon, 3rd Street. My husband's church is out there. So I'm saying this, and I mean it with sincerity in my heart. If we continue to work together, and I'm sure after this conversation, only us, there are other people going to jump on this bandwagon to help save our young Black youth. And I just thank you for the opportunity just to be a participant in this conversation. Thank you.
Now we talk about, I have the sign behind me, Black Lives Matter, and I usually don't put that up, but I put that up for today because one of the issues I wanted to, Black lives have to start mattering to Black people if we expect them to matter to anybody else. It's a message that Damon shares all the time. But we can't forget our brown brothers and sisters who have are going through a lot of the same shit we're going through in our communities. And Lorraine, our resident Latina, always represents, her Latino empowerment always represents that. And I wanted to give her a chance to speak and close out and say her last words.
Thank you, AJ. I want to thank everyone here at the panel today. I I did have a conversation with AJ prior, and I said I would much rather listen because I want to hear what everyone has to say. I want to know what it is that I can do better to make changes out there. I mean, I know it's possible. I've done it. I put together a coalition in the most crime-ridden area in Southwest Yonkers many years ago, and it was very, very successful. And I was able to get out of there, and I was able to be very successful, and I took as many people as I could with me. But now that I'm retired, I want to go back. I'm back, and I want to help them. And I can't do this alone. And maybe there's something I'm failing at that you folks can help me understand and do better and see where it takes us. But I'm mostly here as a co-host of Black Westchester, and I want to thank you.
So as I was about to pass it off to my brother from another, Damon, he got about the chair. I don't know where he went. He will be back. But I want to take this opportunity to shout out my brother, Dr. Bob Robert Baskerville. He has an organization. A lot of times y'all may not see him on the show because he's been trying to put together his foundation, his organization, Rise Up. I'm not going to do justice by telling you everything about it. I will definitely make sure that he is included in our conversation. So he, about our behind the scene conversation. So he can explain more about what he's been doing, but he's been behind the scenes putting together a not-for-profit foundation called Rise Up to back up the moves that we're making. And he has a powerful plan, and it could definitely help. And it has a big research arm as well, because knowledge is power. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to be doing that. Brother Damon, last words.
No, AJ, I want to thank you for putting this together. I want to thank the panel, brothers and sisters from different cities. This is what's needed. Whatever we can do, as Black Westchester, we are here. That was the mission. That was the goal from the beginning, is to empower the people. I wasn't going to I stayed on the whole show. I was just going to stay on about 15, 20 minutes because sometimes I say things and people take it personally, and then, they act other than themselves. And I'm just, but I thought it was needed for me to stay here. And I'm glad that I did stay because, it has given me some hope, that we could actually change our conditions in our communities. I started correction when I was turning 21. So I've been watching Black men and women and generations of Black people come to jail for a long time. And we have to come together. And also, I just want to say on June 28th, everybody save the date. There's going to be a day honoring Black men and Black boys at Yosemite Park in Greenburgh. We have to break down our boundaries throughout Westchester County. We got to knock down the borders. The issues in Mount Vernon is the same issues in New Rochelle, the same issues in Greenburgh, White Plains, Peekskill. We all have the same issues. We just haven't addressed these issues as a cohesive unit. Especially Black men. When that sister was sexually harassed in Peekskill by that Peekskill cop, not one organization said anything.
A cop on duty in uniform.
Exactly. So we have to be the first.
Wait, who came in her house and violated her?
We have to
you don't know the story. Yeah.
We have to be the first responders of our community. Black men. We have to be the first responders of our community. The police are second. And it's no disrespect to the police, no disrespect to Mount Vernon Police or any other police department. But a lot of times the police are overworked in our community because they're police for social issues. You know, we have to change that. We have to be the first responder on our social issues. We have to get back to the divine masculine and feminine people that we are supposed to be. Society has made it other than ourselves, and that's why we beg the government when everything is in ourselves, like Brother Mark said. So I want to thank everybody, and the next meeting will be offline, you know, but we will have an online one too.
Yeah, it's going to be a part of the series. Yeah, but we're going to have some behind the scene conversation that the public don't need to know about.
And I want to prepare everybody for the pushback because they don't want us to talk to each other. They don't want us to talk to you. They don't want Greenberg to talk to Mount Vernon or talk to Yonkers. They don't want Peekskill to talk to Ossining, and they want to continue to create those beefs that will start, and nobody even know how the beef start. Right? You got New Rochelle and Mount Vernon on the panel, and can't nobody tell you how the beef started.
Exactly.
Same way with the gang violence, right? You got gangs, and nobody can tell you how it started. But they know this one don't like that one because, you know, he from that street, I'm from this street, but nobody knows how it started. So we're going to break down all these borders, and we're going to become a one community in Westchester County. And that's how it starts.
Stephanie Swan said they are afraid of a Nat Turner uprising. And Kwame said divide and conquer. That is always the intention. I want to thank everybody for answering the call. I also want to give credit. This call again was inspired by Henry Terry, who put the call out to come meet after that 17-year-old was shot in broad daylight. He called for the community to come out. And Dr. Bob and myself came out. And Brother John was on his way, and Lorraine was on her way, but they didn't get there in time. Because Mount Vernon, 8th Avenue was separated by the projects. They were on the other side of 8th Avenue trying to figure out how to get around.
We were very lost.
But I just want to give credit where credit is due, because this is where the inspiration of today. And then after that, Brother John called me, like I said in the beginning, and we had a conversation. And then, like Angela, I don't celebrate Mother's Day. It'll be 7 years for me since my mom passed, which is the reason I came up back to Westchester in 2014. And LaShawn, who knew my mom well, like insisted I come out. So I came reluctantly, and I still sat in that tent back to myself for the first half an hour or so. And then I came out into where everybody was at. And she was like, oh, put a chair for AJ, and y'all two were going to talk. And we introduced ourselves, and we started talking, and we were having the same conversation me and Brother John was having, and me and Brother Henry Terry was having, me and Jessie was having. And I was like, oh, and then I told her to bring two more people from New Rochelle, and she brought these two gentlemen who I've worked with before. You know, I wanted to put something together. Hopefully, again, most importantly, this serves as a call to action for our community. I will again quote Henry Terry. This is about senseless gun violence. This is what today we're addressing, but there's so many ways we need to address it. Don't wait till this hits your doorstep before you join the fight, because you never know when that next young man or woman who gets killed is your sister, your brother, or like that 17-year-old, like that lady whose house it was, your son's best friend get killed in front of your house. You know what I'm saying? You never know. And yes, people like, that's not my problem. Well, if it gets out of control, it will be your problem when they're knocking you over your head and taking your pocketbook. It is everybody's problem, and we have to handle it that way. And like I said, I was told not to do this. I was told not to waste my time. I was told, it's all been said before, why are you wasting your time? I don't think we cannot give up. So Black Westchester was created for this purpose, as Damon said, to be that voice for our community that our community didn't have, to speak, to help change the narrative in our communities that we didn't have. You're not going to see something like this on News 12 or Low HUD They're not going to do it. You're not going to see this in the Westchester Rising or any of the other. If we didn't do it, I felt that it wouldn't get done. So organically, this came together, starting with Brother Henry call to action and the conversations I had with everybody else. And it was meant to happen. Even like Angela said, we were meant to meet on Mother's Day, specifically on Mother's Day, which neither one of us celebrate. And I'm sorry, my brother, Dr. Bob, couldn't be here again, a victim of senseless gun violence like Lorraine. Both lost 2 brothers to the streets to senseless gun violence, Lorraine and Yonkers, Bob and Mount Vernon. So they know firsthand. Shout out to Nas Duncan, who said, keep the conversation going. I give her a lot of credit. Her organization, Mama I Am, used to consult all other women who lost a child, and then one day she found herself in the seat needing to be consoled. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, that's not, she never in her mad, and she started that organization. There's no way you can tell me ever in a million years she expected to ever be in the chair, the one to need to be consoled. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, and she didn't stop. She had to take her time to reset, refocus, and get herself back in the mind frame, but she's back out there. And I give her credit. So for all of y'all out there, I just want to say, I see outrage over George Floyd, which is 1,200 miles away. I seen y'all all put on hoodies, all our elected officials put on hoodies for Trayvon Martin, which is like 1,000-something miles away. But we're not talking about the Black lives here lost by police, gun violence and police lost at the hand of the police here locally, like Kenneth Chamberlain and Jonathan Maldonado and Christopher Ridley and so on and so forth. And the list goes on. But as outraged as we are about when one of us get killed by the police, we need to be as outraged in the streets when it happens at the hands of one of us, because that's even bigger threat than being killed by the police. And we need to have that same outrage, and we need to stand up. And I hope this is a call to action. And I hope that something comes from that this coalition actually, a coalition actually does get formed from this. And I hope that there are relationships that are built today that help in the movement and build this struggle that we're all in right now. Because we're all in the same struggle.
That's right.
So Black Westchester had to do this, because if we didn't, there's nobody else who's going to do this. You know what I mean? So even they told me not to. Hey, Jessie and Henry, y'all think it's bad. When I first got down with this, you know how many times the Ernie Davis and the Reggie Lafayette's, and yeah, I'm saying names, they all told me, I like what you're doing, but you might want to watch the company you keep talking about Damon. Like they was like straight up, like I'm not sure how far you can get. You might want to watch the company you keep. You know, that dude's bad news. Like, you know what I'm saying? Had I listened to them, we wouldn't have Black Westchester. Do you know when Lorraine joined? There was some calls in the beginning saying, I don't know, man. You might want to get her off the show. She's a little too radical, whatever. She has brought a lot to this. And if we listened, you know what I'm saying? So I say that to say they don't want to see us together. They don't want to see us together because of the power. Black Westchester, because me and Damon came together, and despite what they said about me and despite what they said about him, we still rock together, and we have this forum right now. You know what I'm saying? So I want to leave that with everybody out there. Thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate y'all. I respect all of y'all. Most of y'all I have worked with. Those I haven't, I look forward to working with. Those that are watching, those that have put their answering the call in the comment section, definitely all hit me. Someone said maybe I need to put the directory together of all of us together. I will make sure that if everybody email me at blackwestchester@gmail.com on the panel, I will definitely put a thing where your number that you want used, that you want everybody to have in your email, that we all have that, and we start from there. And everybody else who wants to be involved and wants to reach out to one of the panelists, definitely hit me at blackwestchester@gmail.com, and I will make sure that you hear from that person or that the panel itself. The next step is behind the scenes. And then that's where the real work gets done. Thank you all for being here, for answering the call. Thank you, Brother Henry, for putting out the call.
Yes, sir.
And with that, out. Peace.
22 million black victims of Americanism are waking up. and they're gaining a new political consciousness, becoming politically mature. And as they develop this political maturity, they're able to see the recent trends in these political elections. Any minority that has a block of votes that stick together is in a strategic position. Either way you go, that's who gets it. You're in a position to determine who go to the White House and who stay in the doghouse. You're the one who has that power. You and I have never seen democracy. All we've seen is hypocrisy. When we open our eyes today and look around America, we see America not through the eyes of someone who has enjoyed the fruits of Americanism. We see America through the eyes of someone who has been the victim of Americanism. We don't see any American dream. We've experienced only the American nightmare. We haven't benefited from America's democracy. We've only suffered from America's hypocrisy. And the generation that's coming up now can see it and are not afraid to say it. 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 And are not afraid